Powerful hurricane moving toward the Bahamas and then the east coast of Florida in the next 2 to 3 days. It is an incredible hurricane to look at on the satellite loop this afternoon. One of the most amazing eyes and just well-structured hurricanes that we've seen, likely since Irma and Maria a couple of years ago. This one is moving toward the west, and it wobbles back and forth from time to time, but the general direction has been west during the day. Up next will be the Bahamas, Abacos, and then Grand Bahama, and then there is uncertainty there as far as the computer model. This is about 347 miles away from South Florida, from West Palm Beach, and moving in this direction. But we are watching a storm that is expected to turn eventually. Now, hurricane force winds, really, that wind field has not expanded much at all. It's still out about 30 miles from the center, and the tropical storm force winds a little over 100 miles from the center. That wind field should expand a little bit more, but not much, and that helps us too. Here's a look at the forecast track. 1:55 just after midnight. That is approaching Category 5 status, and then working in around the Abaco area. If you know this area, Hopetown and Marsh Harbor, cutting across the islands. Green Turtle Key will likely get some significant weather from this, and then working toward Grand Bahama. This is Monday 2 a.m. The fluctuations in intensities, they'll be up and down, but it'll be generally a mid and high-level Category 4 hurricane for the next 3 to 4 days. Then a turn, and this is a key moment in the future track of this hurricane. We are expecting a turn toward the northwest and then eventually the north. That'll happen before sunrise or around sunrise on Monday into the early afternoon. And then that track takes it up the east coast but well offshore through Monday night and Tuesday and Wednesday, slowly weakening it. It starts to get into some wind shear here. It's still Category 2, even 5 days out, but it is a weaker storm because of that shear and the fact that it is lifting north so quickly. And there's the end track there, just off the Carolina coastline with a landfall possible in that area. I want to go back because this is very important. This is an error cone. This is not a complete down-the-line track, and we are still at least part of the viewing area in that error cone, just the tip of northern Palm Beach County and along the coastline of the Treasure Coast. So there is still the possibility of a track more toward the west and to the south and having a bigger impact in our weather. That's a very important fact. Don't forget about that, because that's why even though the tracks have been very encouraging the last 24 hours, keeping it offshore, the down-the-line tracks, there is still some uncertainty, especially with that turn on Monday morning. Now, we have tropical storm watch now in effect from Deerfield and the Boca area all the way up through Sebastian and Vero. And this little box here, this is important too. This is a hurricane watch, and this was just issued too. This is offshore, so this is past 20 miles in the ocean. Why don't we care about that? Well, it shows you just how close that hurricane watch is to our coastline. And should the hurricane continue on a west track, even another 3 to 4 hours past the expected time that it will turn, it puts those hurricane force winds a little closer to our coastline. And that's why we have the tropical storm watch in effect right now. And hopefully the tracks do continue toward the north and northwest. This happens on Monday around sunrise till the noon hour on Monday. Here's that hurricane and tropical storm force wind field. So there's Monday 5:30, and then just dragging along the coastline with the strongest winds just offshore. So this gives you an idea of some of the timing, but James Wieland is here too, and we're breaking down kind of the local effects for the next few days as the hurricane makes a very close approach to South Florida.
Yeah, we can finally start pinning down at least some local effects. Anything before now would have just been erroneous, so we didn't even bother showing it yet because it would have changed drastically from day to day or even hour by hour. Finally, we're starting to pin down what this forecast is going to be, and we can start letting you know what to expect here in South Florida and our local area. So let's go through time here on Vipercast, and you see this is a Sunday evening, so I stopped it there because this is when we may see some of the very outer fringes of the storm start to rotate on through those way outer feeder bands. Now in those, they won't be solid, but in those you'll get little squalls that'll come through. You could see some gusty winds up to 35 or so miles an hour as that pushes in. That's going to be late Sunday. The wind's going to pick up too, and we'll get those brief downpours that move on in. As we get into Monday afternoon, then those will pick up some. more so along the coast, but look at this one, made it all the way to the west coast. So can't rule out anywhere here, and we'll get these bands of rain, these feeder bands that will come on through. Some of those could contain tropical storm force wind gusts. That's why that watch is up. As we get into Tuesday, its closest approach there in the morning, those feeder bands will come through. We could get some rain dumping in, and even some areas that could possibly see some training where you get one band after another, so the rain could pile up there. So what we expect, we have the three things here: rain, wind, and beach erosion. Rain 3 to 8 inches, but we could see locally higher amounts if we get that training effect. This number will probably change. We'll be able to narrow it down and narrow it down city by city coming up. Wind, tropical storm force gusts are possible, so that's up over 40 miles per hour, but gusts in those storms that blow on through. And of course, severe beach erosion. Waves are going to be huge.